So you guys know that I've relied on sponsors a lot to get me through the last year and a half. Prior to that, I pretty much handled everything on my own. I've had 21 jobs that I've been chased, stalked, harassed, or physically assaulted out of since 2020. And when you don't have an income, not because you're unwilling to work, but because you're not being permitted to do so, you have to find a way to eat and clothe yourself and be okay. So I go public and I tell people what's going on here and on my other socials, and I ask for help. Well, sponsors of all income ranges have responded. And I don't understand how we're still outside, because there have been, tremendous responses. So it is very confusing, and I do suspect that they've been taking the funding and using it for other sources, which is incredibly wrong. But I just want to show you guys what I do when I'm hungry or feeling sick, or how I survive these treacherous circumstances. So the first thing I did when I found out I was pregnant is I went to the state of Illinois Welfare Department. I told them that I was living in a tent. I showed them all the police reports that I have filed regarding the assaults, the abuses, the destruction of my vehicle, a Cadillac CTS that I paid off in full. And I got approved for emergency cash assistance and emergency link card. The total is about $200 in food money. Xavier has about the same. I think he gets $290. And then I get almost $400 something for emergency cash. Every month I use that to buy something for my children. Last month the entire thing went for Christmas gifts. And this month the entire thing is going for my unborn baby, car seat, stroller, diapers, clothes, etc. and so forth. I go to the grocery store and I get stuff like this, fruit, veggies, and then we bring it back to the tent. I can't really walk right now, but I've been very active this entire pregnancy. The struggle are those days when we don't have any link card. I do still take my children as much food as I possibly can. I take them about $50 worth each child. I have 3. And before you say it, poor people shouldn't have kids. I wasn't always poor, and I was working really hard to support my children for a very long time. And in addition to that, the life struggles that I've gone through, I don't think I'd have will to live if I didn't have those 3 little babies looking up at me every morning. So those children have saved my life. And I'll go every single month and drop off approximately $50 worth of food to each child. We take public transportation now, but we just started that 4 weeks ago. Prior to that, we took a walk 30 to 60 miles at least once, sometimes twice a month, every single month, to drop off the food to my kids. It hurts because I only get to hug them, and say, hi, I love you, how are you? And then we have to leave, but it's better than nothing. No response from the court system is unacceptable, and that's the response I've received. Now, when you're sitting here in reality trying to understand how law enforcement has not called back, if I filed a police report for rape, whether they find the rapist or not, you get a call back from law enforcement, and they say, this is what we've done so far, this is what we're doing. I've not received any of that, and I have filed hundreds of police reports without exaggeration. We were followed to a dollar store between this location at the lake, and where my children live near the O'Hare area. And someone was playing my voice on repeat behind us in the checkout line at the dollar store. I had to call police. That's one of many situations where police have shown up in person. I've given them a typed up narrative with all of my socials, with all of my contact information, as well as a verbal description of what has been going on. And they just say, well, keep documenting. So I don't use Instagram for entertainment anymore. Or I do with the GoPro solo account. So that I could have an outlet, because social media and content and marketing has been such a pivotal point of my life. When I stopped working in the healthcare field in 2014-15 time and shifted over to fitness, I was doing everything as a self-employed individual. And whether I was doing content or fitness, I was selling everything. So marketing and sales became my main focus. With that being said, I have to keep this Instagram, as well as the one Heather GEE and the HLG Forever, so that I can continue to document. If I just continue to call the police and rely on their documentation, where would I be? Back to the food issue, we have sponsors helping us. I like to eat healthy, like a side salad, a little bit of pasta, and like a meatball, right? That would be a perfect triangle. In my entire life, I have always gone by the triangle food pyramid for my plates. And I think I learned that from my mom and dad. My mother-in-law is Hispanic, and my other mother-in-law is also Hispanic, Mexican, and Ecuadorian. And they cook differently. They cook like one large, huge meal, and then they kind of leave it out, and you guys can grate, or I could graze, or my children could graze all day. If they make flautas, that's like a Mexican taco, they would make a huge batch, a big, huge thing of sopa, a big, huge thing of rice, empanadas, and then you go get it and heat it up as you want it to eat it. In my house, we all had to sit down at the same time every meal, and our plate was designed like a triangle. A starch, like a carby pasta or rice, a meat, like a pork chop, chicken, steak, and then a veggie. And that's how every single meal was. There might be a little extra, like a dessert or something, but that's the basic of every meal. Now, when you're relying on others for money, food, shelter, housing, anything, clearly we're in a tent now, as we've been for the past almost full year. Never in my life have I been homeless before. Never have I slept in a tent prior to this, unless we were camping at like a national state park. It is very scary for me. I am very confused. I am terrified at times. I'm also happy, and I find, ways to be positive and make the best of it. When sponsors, go 2 weeks, and I could tell that the sponsors are coming from a space of probably working class people. They bring a lot of Taco Bell, McDonald's, KFC, things of that nature. And I can't be like, oh my God, what is this? I have to be grateful or starve. And being that I'm pregnant, I need to eat, I need to feed my unborn child. So I do my best, and it's delicious, every once in a while, but it's not the healthiest. So I am not in my best health. I'm a weightlifter. For anyone who knows me, in 2013, after I had my younger daughter, Alexis, who's now 10, I fully threw myself into the gym. Her father and I broke up, and I found myself with 3 children under 10 years old, and I was not happy with my life. And I literally just threw myself into the gym. I got a trainer. I lost about 60 pounds, and I began lifting weights. I wanted to do so competitively. I did not ever get a chance to do that, although I did hire a prep coach, Christian McCoy, and I was prepping to compete in the NPC, which is the amateur weightlifting competition. I haven't given up on it. I don't know if it's something I'll do in the next few years. I'm about to have a baby, which is going to require a lot of my attention, but I want to, and I would like to have my baby and go to a gym in my apartment building or where I live and begin prepping. That would be the ultimate goal. But that's basically it. I'm doing my best to work with the resources that I have, the access that I have, take care of my children, stay focused on my future, not cry too much, not be so vulnerable, because the vulnerabilities, unfortunately, they're needed to heal and to grow. You have to acknowledge them, and sometimes it helps to have someone, help you. But it also opens the door to a lot of really nasty, evil people, to find out what hurts you the most and use it against you. So finding the balance emotionally between that, along with health-wise, between accepting the help that they give, whether it's a fast food burger or $5, and trying to make the best use out of that help, that's been the biggest challenge. Staying positive, not giving up, being in incredible pain in the 3rd trimester of my pregnancy, having to lay on the floor every day like an animal, having to, hold my bowel movements for days at a time. Those sorts of degrading and dehumanizing things have been the most difficult part of all of this. I've never really been, the type to drown my sorrows. There are people who go through homelessness and you'd never know, because they go to the club, they meet someone there, and then they go home with them. And then they use them up as a resource. I started as that victim. I started as that person with a home, met people, while I was working in promotions who I thought were my friends, and I was taken advantage of severely. And that's kind of why I clung so tightly to Dylan, for that protection from, the people that it's not that I couldn't say no, I would say no, but the people who were too persistent, consistent, even manipulative to accept no as an answer. And so I've done my best, and my best advice is stay away from drugs and alcohol if you ever experience an issue like this. I do smoke pot for pain, but that's it, and that's medical. I don't consider that a drug at all. For the people who are out here using hardcore drugs and partying every day because it's your only option, I get it. But again, you have to balance, and there are a lot of people who lose themselves and never get themselves back. Some people can handle it and some people cannot. And I think that the number one issue for homeless people is that they lose themselves forever. They can't handle these circumstances. I surely cannot. If I didn't have Xavier here through this, I don't know what would have happened, even on the days when he's doing things, that I don't really like. It's very scary to be out here and alone. Very scary. So keeping your feet planted in who you are. I always say cement your feet in who you are, but allow yourself to sway.